So there's Uncle Joe's there. This is back on the Florida Trail. Mary got there at like 11 o'clock or even earlier than that yesterday. And I got there at 3. And I can't imagine, because no other hikers came in. I just find it hard to believe that nobody's passed us yet, because we've taken some short days and I would say are doing the minimal. Like I don't think we're doing more than anybody else. So, and I know there's people that started behind us, so I don't know if they're skipping roadblocks or if they're just doing huge miles and passing us when we're asleep or something. But it's a really awesome place. I'm glad I stayed there, because at first I was skeptical because it didn't look like there was a lot to do there. And I didn't really see anywhere to do laundry. I think you can. If you ask them, maybe they could tell you, but there was definitely a shower, bathroom, place to get water, obviously a place to tent, and I got 2 meals when I was there. So everybody in the community that kind of lives in this area just constantly walks in and out of there. There was a biker group from Canada that they pretty much only spoke French. 4 or 5 of them walked in. We got a boat. There was several people, farmers that grow corn and sugarcane and stuff, came in there and just hang out, and the family that owns it or runs it, they came in there and made a taco soup for dinner. When I got there at 3, the bartender named Jersey, she was making meatball subs, little 6-inch hoagies with a couple slices of provolone and like 5 or 6 meatballs. It's all for free. Taco soup was free. They just said help yourself. They made a big old crock pot of it. We got to talk to one of the farmers. He told us how the sugar cane grows, and they actually take this, I don't know the terminologies here, but they take the stick of the cane and they lay it in the ground sideways, and then they bury it with like just a couple inches of dirt. And then when it's laying sideways, there's these I guess they're called shoots, or the bulbs, or whatever it is. Those things sprout and they grow sugarcane, and then you can grow like 50,000 pounds an acre your first year you plant it. Second year it's like 40,000, the third year it's 30,000, and after that you have to basically take those canes out of the ground and plant new ones. And he was saying that sometimes they will plant corn in the same fields after they do sugar cane, because when they plant the corn, the fertilizer is different or somehow, and it like replenishes the soil, and the corn grows fast. You can grow it in like 3 months. The sugar cane takes like a year. So, and he was saying they burn the fields because the canes have what he called it trash, but it's like the leaves. So you burn it to get rid of all of that, and just makes it easier to, I don't know if it makes it easier, but he said that you don't send all the trash to the process or whatever. I think it just keeps the process cleaner, and it probably has something to do with the getting paid by the pound or whatever they do for when they sell it. But yeah, it was just interesting. He had brought a whole big like little casket of corn and gave it out for free, and everybody took 4 or 5 ears of corn, right? Is that what you call it? Stalks of corn? Whatever. cobs. And yeah, it was just a neat experience. And then there was 2 people there that are kind of like bicycling the Lake Okeechobee trail, and they had like section hiked the PCT, and they were telling us about how they take these Groupons. They were both retired teachers, so they take these Groupon deals they find online, and they'll go to like Costa Rica or something for $500 for a week, and then they extend that deadline so that like they do the week of the guided stuff, and then they spend a couple of weeks doing their own thing. And they're talking about India and the Valley of the Flowers and going to a Sikh temple and all this other stuff. So they told me about this Alaskan teacher thing that you work there for 7 years, and then after that you get like a full 70% full retirement. And so they know people that have done that, and it's a good option if you want to, live off of that salary or that retirement to go and travel and stuff. So I just think it's unfortunate. Like, looking at the logbook, there was a big group that came in a couple days ago, but I don't think they stayed. I know one person in that group. I think they just stopped by, and some of the journal entries in the logbook there made it kind of seem like they just stopped in for a few beers and kept going. So like I said, I think it was just really cool to see it felt like almost a TV show, like Cheers, where like everybody comes in, everybody knows everybody. Like, one of the guys is like walking behind the bar because the remote wasn't working on the TV, so he just walks behind the bar and starts fixing the TV, trying to get the thing to turn on. And little kids come in and just grab a snack after school or whatever. I've never really been like I said, they don't really have like an official opening time. And she said they close just whenever the last person leaves. So generally I think it's around like 9 or 9:30, but I highly recommend it. It's not like, the RV park was definitely better as far as like if you want to do laundry, and I would say have a nicer shower. I didn't use this one, but the one at the RV park looked nicer. The tenting area was a little bit, the grass was softer at the RV park and stuff. So, but I didn't really get to talk to any of the people at the RV park. They had that tiki hut that a lot of the RV guys and ladies were sitting around. Like I said, it's kind of a bar, so if you wanted to talk to people, you probably could have, but this one was just kind of a cool spot to hang out. And said I'm glad I ended up staying. This is kind of what I meant by you can't really get a sense of the lake. There's what's essentially a very large canal here, and then it looks like, I don't know what that is, just trees and brush and stuff across it. The lake is somewhere out in that direction, but you don't get like a panoramic huge expanse view of the lake, at least not yet. I have heard if you do want those kind of views, you should go on the east side because it goes closer to the lake. And so this is pretty much what the trail looks like all along Lake Okeechobee. It's basically a bicycle path. That's mostly who uses this, from what I can tell. And it's kind of isolated. You're surrounded by water on both sides. So if there's like a town or something over there, you kind of have to plan ahead and get off at a bridge and maybe hike on a road for a few miles to make sure you get to it, because if you're passing it and the town is right there, good luck, you're not going to get to it. So anyway, in the future, kind of like how they have aqua blazing on the AT, where instead of walking through Shenandoah, you get on a kayak or a canoe and you go down the river for 50 miles or whatever, just because it's, you know, Shenandoah is, to me, it wasn't that exciting in the summer. It's kind of boring, honestly. So I can kind of see why people would want to do something different. With that same kind of idea, I think they should have, I don't know what you would call it here, bicycle blazing. They should have a service like a Trail Angel, or you know, maybe they'll have a hostel one day in Clewiston. You drop your bags off with them, and they give you a bicycle. You just ride this path all the way up to Buckhead Ridge, where you turn off. You know, however many miles it is, like 50 miles. And you just get your backpack at the end of that. They give it back to you. You give them a bicycle back. And you could do this whole section in maybe 1 or 2 days just on a bicycle. Because people talk about road walks. I guess this is not technically a road, but it's paved asphalt essentially. So on your feet it feels the same. You're not having to deal with traffic or anything like that, but I don't know, I think it would be a good idea. I would probably do it just because I said it just makes it hard to get to anything. This is what it looks like when you come up to Alphen Ward Park right before you get to Moorhaven. Or you can see the interstate there. But this place has a water spigot and public restrooms and a gigantic parking lot. Kind of ironically, this is like the one good spot on this entire Lake Okeechobee section that would be really good for camping, because it's a lot like flat and open and has some tree cover that you could use for shade or whatever, but it's basically inside this park, which means you're not allowed to camp here. So that building right there is the bathroom, and there's a couple water spigots on the outside of it, but it's one of the more rough public bathrooms I've seen. I mean, I guess, yeah, you're using the bathroom, so it doesn't need to be luxurious, but it makes me almost want to filter the water that I'm getting from it, just because the inside's so gross. There's not really much to this park. There's a pavilion there that has some picnic tables. There's another one back through there with picnic tables. This one's missing a picnic table in front of me. I'm sitting at this one. You have a little bit of a lakefront or ocean front or whatever you want to call this. Canal front. I'm just taking a short break to rest my feet before I go to Moorhaven, but this is kind of one of the most convenient, easier places to get water if you don't want to have to stop in Moorhaven. So I'm gonna fill up here for probably like the next 20 miles or so. This place is called Haven Fresh, and you literally come off the highway right here and do a U-turn, and you walk right past this place. Open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. If you want some authentic street tacos, I highly recommend it. You gotta walk right past it anyway, and you go back down this way. Best tacos I've ever had. So just left Moore Haven. You can see the interstate up there. If you're not in town for very long, you basically just do a U-turn off the interstate and take the first road out of town. You're maybe there for 10 minutes worth of walking. I just passed an interesting information board about Lake Okeechobee. I'll put up a little bit of a picture of what was on there, but one of the interesting things it mentioned was the fact that the early explorers didn't believe the lake existed because it's basically just a shallow depression. I heard somewhere that it's only 12 feet deep at the most. But anyway, it's like a shallow depression, and there's no like single outlet that, like, there's no one river or one stream or anything like that. It just overflows into these miles of sheet water that, you know, is what the Everglades is. And because of that, there was all this dense vegetation, kind of like this, or like some of the shots I had earlier, where they couldn't get to the lake to even see that it was there. And so they never believed that it really existed, because you have to imagine that obviously this stuff has been you know, mowed down and cut, and obviously they paved this and diked it and done all kinds of stuff to it. So somebody did ask me on trail a while back, because I was telling them a little bit about Big Cypress and how the Tamiami Trail and Everglades and all that, and asked how old it was, and I never actually knew. And that sign just told me it's 6,000 years old. So basically, whenever the waters receded, I guess after the last ice age or something, it exposed the state of Florida, and that's when the Everglades started to form. So interesting facts to learn. Been walking for several miles past Moorhaven by now, and it's kind of been like this for the last mile or so, where freeways over here on the left again, you got a canal, and then on the right, I haven't seen water over here in a while. Now there might be water, you know, shallow water or something in there, but as far as like the lake and the big canal with the boats in it and stuff, haven't really seen. So this is actually the first section where camping over here would be maybe a little bit more viable. It's still not very flat, and the grass is pretty tall, but it's not right up against the water like it has been. So I'd only really camp there if I had to. But I haven't seen anybody all day. Ever since Moorhaven, I haven't seen any cyclists or hikers or walkers or anybody on this whole stretch. So definitely seems like the busiest section is between John Stretch Park and Clewiston. And Mary says she's gonna stay back at the hostel and take the Uncle Joe's and take a zero because her feet are bothering her. So my feet feel like they're getting better slowly. Blisters are not really bothering me while I'm walking. They're starting to heal, and my Achilles, I think it's getting better. It's still a little like stiff in the mornings, but the top of my foot pain has kind of gone away. I still feel it occasionally, but I think it's slowly getting better. I'm saving those foot patches I bought at Dollar General until it starts to hurt one time, and then I'll put it on there if it starts to hurt. But I didn't really want to waste it if it was feeling fine. So I'm kind of thinking for this next section that I want to walk the road, just because I don't know, I don't really see the value of continuing up here, because it all pretty much looks the same, and realistically I'm only going to go over there if I need to camp, and I feel like I've kind of seen this scenery a lot, so I'd almost rather do the road walk and go through the little small towns and see the old houses and the restaurants. And plus I kind of want to stop at one of them to get some water. The water I got now out of a spigot, I probably should have filtered it. I mean, it's probably safe to drink, but kind of tastes like drinking pool water. Not necessarily the chlorine, but there's just sulfur or something else in it that doesn't taste very good. But ideally, I'd like to make it about 30 miles today. It'll put me right before a road crossing. And then that way, when I wake up tomorrow, I can wake up, take that road crossing into town. I'll be at a Dollar General on that road walk, and then I can resupply before I head out away from Lake Okeechobee. So I don't know if I'll make it 30 miles. My feet get pretty sore just walking on this pavement all day. I did take a 10-minute break earlier, just literally like laid down on this concrete or asphalt, and probably sat there for 10 or 15 minutes, and that helped quite a bit. Either the blood or the soreness or whatever kind of reset, and you know, maybe if I keep doing that every few hours, I can keep walking until I make it to the 30. But right now I'm trying to kind of catch up to some friends that are ahead of me. They started about 3 days ahead of me, so, but they just took a 00. But even tonight, I'll be camping maybe at like a mile 130, and they'll be at like 170. So anyway, that's kind of my new goal. I don't know if I'll be able to catch them, if my feet will hold up or not, but hanging in there. I think I'll be much better when I get off these road walks. I don't think the mileage affects me so much because it's perfectly flat, but I think if I can get past Lake Okeechobee, I think there's some more like actual trail. It'll be a lot softer on my feet. Should be also a lot better campsites available, so we got that to look forward to. So after several miles of walking on the dike between or after Moorhaven, kind of just ends and turns into this sidewalk next to a kind of busy road. This road noise is kind of annoying, and it's gonna be like this for at least another several miles. So change of scenery, but a little bit for the worse. So I decided to take the road walk off the dike at the Aruba RV Resort. Kind of regret it a little bit because this road is busier than I expected, but I'm thinking I might be staying at the RV Resort a few miles down the road and tent camping, and I have to take this road to get there. So it's also starting to like sprinkle a little bit. I don't know if it's actually gonna rain or not, but kind of hoping it holds off for a little bit. So the gazebo is here. I'm pretty sure this area is the tenting spots. It's got a picnic table right there, and then there's a spigot right behind it. It rained last night, so I didn't stay there, but he kind of pointed it out, so it's close by. So these two down here are the bathrooms, and these are the showers. It's one men's and one's women's.